It's the Donna Adelson trial. But she's not the first Adelson to be tried for the murder of Dan Markel. That would be Charlie, her son, outwitted by the police and the prosecutor at every turn. Is his trial the roadmap for Donna's conviction? Is Wendy next?
Who are you alleged to have done this murder with?
I'm alleged to have done this murder with my sister.
All that and what it means for your weekend on the Comm Center. Wake up, America. It's the Comm Center with Drew Breasy. It's a TV show on the internet about two best friends who are called by a small town sheriff to investigate don't do any gang signs when everyone in the town has the same dream. I'm John. I'm an actual 911 dispatcher. I've been doing that job in my community for 10 years. Joining me, as always, is my podcasting partner with police benefits. It's Andrew Baxter, but on the internet, he goes by the fake name of Drew Breasy. He's an authentic cop. Drew, I'm so excited for this episode. Charlie Adelson's finally going to trial. This is going to be the roadmap for how we get Donna Adelson convicted here next month. If you have missed any of our excellent Adelson trial coverage, make sure you go back and watch these episodes. You see that we've got a full playlist here of wonderful episodes that you can get tons of information, get caught up, get the real law enforcement analysis before the trial starts. Drew, take us through the trial.
We're not here to choose teams. We're not here to take sides. We're just kind of here to present facts as we see them. Hindsight is 2020 in this. Like we kind of discussed this in the when we had the Wendy Adelson episode last week. It's easy when you have the rest of the story to say, "Oh no, she was lying," and it's so apparent, and you clearly don't know this case. And yes, but the guy that was in the room with her, the detective that was in the room with her, who I was assessing at the time, along with her, he didn't know what the ending of the case was either. That's what we're trying to analyze, and that's what we're getting at. So what we're going to do is listen to some more secret recordings. That seems to be everybody's favorite. We'll talk a little bit about legal stuff, but let's, John, take a trip down memory lane and find out who Charlie Adelson actually is / was. Charles J. Adelson is known as Charlie. He was born on October 27th, 1976. He was raised in Coral Springs, Florida, where he attended J.P. Taravella High School, and he was a tennis star and a team captain. After high school, he enrolled at the University of Central Florida, graduating in 1999 with a BS in micro and molecular biology. He then attended Nova Southeastern University's College of Dental Medicine, receiving his Doctor of Dental Medicine degree in 2003. By the early 2010s, Charlie's ambitions expanded beyond dentistry. He co-owned a New York-style Jewish deli and launched a consulting firm and a company called Energy Shots, LLC. The success funded a lavish lifestyle. He owned high-end vehicles, including a Mercedes-Benz and a Ferrari, and a home on the Intercoastal Waterway in Fort Lauderdale. He was described as a playboy bachelor who dated frequently. The unraveling began with his sister Wendy Adelson's bitter divorce from law professor Dan Markel in 2013. The Adelson family was enraged that Wendy was unable to relocate her two young children to South Florida. In secret, Charlie began to take steps that went far beyond jokes. Evidence later showed that in the fall of 2013, Charlie first conspired with his then-girlfriend, Catherine Katie McBonwa, to explore hiring hitmen to kill Dan Markel. On July 18, 2014, Dan Markel was assassinated in the driveway of his Tallahassee home. The murder immediately drew suspicion toward the Adelson family due to the recent custody battles. In 2016, a major breakthrough occurred with the arrests of Sigfredo Tuto Garcia and Luis Tato Rivera as the hitmen. Both men had ties to Catherine McBonwa, who was Charlie's girlfriend at the time. Over the next few years, prosecutors built their case. McBonwa was convicted of first-degree murder in 2022 and given a life sentence, combined with improved forensic enhancement of some 2016 undercover recordings. The state had what it needed to move directly against Charlie. In April of 2022, Charlie Adelson was indicted and arrested by FBI agents at his Fort Lauderdale residence. At his October 2023 trial, Charlie claimed he was a victim of extortion and had only paid off Magbanua, Garcia, and Rivera because they threatened him and his family. Prosecutors dismantled this narrative. On cross-examination, they pointed out how he continued to shower Magbanua with affection and gifts for years after the supposed threats. After a 2-week trial, the jury needed only 3 hours of deliberation to reach a verdict. On November 6, 2023, Charlie Adelson was found guilty on all counts, and he was sentenced to life in prison without parole. The story of Charlie Adelson is a sobering reminder that outward success can hide inner darkness and that justice can catch up even after years of impunity. This guy had a life of, some might call it privilege. He probably saw it that way, to be honest. He earned it. I mean, he got good grades all through school. He got good grades through college. He was a dentist. He was a thriving dentist. He was a little bit of a philanthropist. Like, he would do mission trips down to Jamaica and help the underserved communities down there with dental work. And he helped grow the Adelson family dentistry business. But to say he had life by the stones is kind of an understatement, because he was shifting millions of dollars with his skills as a cosmetic dentist, even though he was sanctioned a few times by the state. But I think that's probably normal for a doctor or a dentist to,
Hey, you don't have to sell me. He's obviously a hell of a guy, and so what if he put in a few extra wisdom teeth instead of taking them out? We've all done it.
It's not just a fall from grace. Like, it's a long way down. But this is more of a mindset of money can buy anything. He thought, nothing's going to happen to me. I'm just going to buy my way out of it. A couple episodes ago, we did the bump. You can hear it when he's having that conversation with Katie. And he's trying to explain to her, like, yeah, this is what they do. Like, you got something, put me in jail over it. When you watch the end of this, you'll see how his tune has changed. For those that don't know, Matsuri is a Japanese restaurant. It's probably got great sushi. I'd love to try it myself. It's in the Miami area. And Charlie and Harvey had a kind of a dinner there, like 2 or 3 days after the bump. And this was right after it was a day or two after the conversation Charlie had with Katie. So now he's meeting with his dad to discuss the same stuff he discussed with Katie, which kind of implicates him in a way, doesn't it, John?
There is no. Yeah, you can say it all day long. I can even tell you it's a giant stadium. That's it. Now, all day long. It's not done like that.
What you're seeing, John, is the view of the undercover.
Inside of a purse. I've been there before. We all have.
Yeah, I'm trying to, it just looks like that mesh vented, like, is the undercover male, female, 1, 2, are they wearing some type of, like, Dolphins jersey, Cowboys jersey, something? Because that's kind of what it looks like. And you can see, like, right in the center of this, right above the A and all day long, you could see Charlie's eye.
Oh, I'd recognize that eye anywhere. That's
Right. So in his hair, and he's always wearing scrubs. So he's either wearing scrubs from the dentistry or he's wearing blue prison scrubs. You always see him in scrubs. So here he is talking to his dad. You'll even see his dad. You can kind of make out his dad, who would be to his left. I get the impression that this is either like a sushi bar or maybe, they're at like the hibachi table or something. I don't know. But, like, it looks like they're all sitting in a line, though. So he's already suspicious. He's getting a little paranoid.
Well, he clearly is. I mean, he keeps having these clandestine meetings with people at busy restaurants. When he was talking to Catherine Magbanua about whether or not, this whole thing was designed to get everyone to smoke out the roaches, he was meeting at Dolce Vita. He knows that background noise there is going to make it very hard, not only for the FBI to record him, but for podcasters to get audio to put onto their YouTube channel. Hey, before you do anything else, make sure you're doing all those YouTube things. Make sure you hit like, make sure you hit subscribe to keep up with the Comm Center. We answer 99.9% of comments, so make sure you leave yours below. So he's doing something smart. He's having these meetings in public, but in places where it's very hard to overhear him. So I think he's very hip to the game that people are trying to record. But why doesn't he just sit at home with his dad and write notes to each other on pieces of paper?
I well, writing notes is actually a great point because that is actually done. I know that for a fact. Like
You've listened to a lot of pencil scratching over the years.
so in investigations, like you'll send somebody in kind of wired up so you can live listen to them. And the bad guy will start writing notes or they'll have a pad and they'll just start passing it back and forth, which is, moot if you have a camera attached to it. So, but you're right. And I think that he might be wise enough to understand that their homes may have listening devices in them. Their phones might have listening devices.
Follow us for more anti-surveillance tips.
Right? I don't know what they were monitoring, but for certain, understand this because he's going to bring it up in a second. He thinks that you need a warrant for this. When you're just like John mentioned a second ago, when you're in a public place, you're game for podcasters and YouTubers and cops and the people sitting next to you. If the court looks at it as if you're in the middle of a restaurant, you have no expectation of privacy.
Right.
You
That's the standard.
Yeah, you hold an expectation of privacy because, you think that that's a private conversation and blah, 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 but it doesn't matter what you think. If the waitress can overhear it, it's fair game. Like if anybody can overhear it. So
The other thing about the warrants, and this constantly comes up with Donna, and we'll talk about this a little bit in our next episode about her arrest. She constantly thinks that if a warrant gets issued for her arrest, the law enforcement's going to have the courtesy to tell her lawyer, who will then tell her. And the truth is that if we have reason to believe that, a crime is about to occur or someone's about to flee the country, we could get those warrants issued in a few minutes over the phone and go pick somebody up, but it doesn't have to be a paperwork process. We could just go get that person. And she constantly thinks that this process of issuing a warrant is going to be enough of a lead time for her to figure out what her next move is.
that is a common tactic, by the way, just dealing with the defense attorney, like, hey, we're getting ready to indict, or hey, if you want to turn your client in at the jail. That's normally reserved though, like if they're cooperating or if that's something that's set up beforehand. But again, you're 100% right. We can just get the warrant, knock on the door, and arrest her. We don't have to like honor the gentleman's agreement to contact the attorney. Certainly, it's a courtesy, and it's a show of good faith, but it's not required by any law by any stretch.
Let's get back inside that jersey.
Oh, I know they wouldn't talk to her. Step forward.
So this is interesting. Everybody seems to be in camp charge Wendy. I'm a little undecided. I'm not too far into the story yet. I will tell you this, whether she's involved or not will come to light. If she's indicted, she's indicted, but she is presumed innocent until proven guilty. But it's interesting that he brings her up in this meeting with his dad, don't you think?
He's constantly thinking about Wendy. Even the jail phone calls they would have subsequently are often about her.
It's his kid's sister.
So you got privacy by name. One or the other. One or the other, but the woman's usually the weaker choice. Someone is going to give in.
So he's saying that it's one or the other. It's going to be the man or the woman, and the woman is usually the weaker choice because
Sexist. He's a murderer and a sexist.
he feels that the woman is more vulnerable to the police tactics when
Wake up, Charlie. It's the 21st century. Women can be just as strong and stupid as men.
women have shattered that criminal glass ceiling years ago. But just think of this too. she's an attorney. She's savvy. She knows what to say and when to say what not to say. And so
11 years later, she's still not in prison, Charlie. So who's really the weaker sex?
right. Unless he was talking about Katie.
That's what Katie agreed. Yeah. So yeah, so that's where you're at. I think it's. I actually think it's a. You know, at some point, somebody they had to reach out. They have to do something. They have to sort of listen. And they answer your question, yes or no. Someone's just going to say no.
So his point here is like he knew that this day would come, because if the cops just walk up to you and say, "Did you kill that guy?" He's just going to say, "Well, no." Like if it's a yes or no question. So in his mind, he's like, they had to concoct this odd scheme by putting, $5,000 on a article about Dan Markel.
You mentioned money earlier, but I think what goes hand in hand with that is arrogance. I mean, he thinks he's smarter than the FBI, and
He does.
he's smarter than some FBI agents, but we do have some crafty ones. We've caught bigger fish than Charlie Adelson.
He will project that on the stand as well. Like he thinks that he's smarter than the prosecution. It's one thing to say that, think about this. If you're asking somebody that did something, and they have an answer for every single thing that you that you put in front of them, that means that they've thought this through and studied it. And like in the natural flow of conversation, there are probably things that you really need to think about, or I don't have an answer for that, or whatever. And it may or may not be deceptive. He has an answer you're going to see in a minute. He has an answer for everything this prosecutor says, and she outwits him probably by times 100, if I had to guess, maybe 200.
So there has to be some kind of tactic to come in to the introduction, and it's like, it makes sense, it really does. I think they're that smart. And the funny thing is, I'll take it. Yeah, thank you. Now you gotta say, listen, if 50% of people want to cooperate, why would you not? Like, because it's the attitude of, all right, I'll pay you to make it go away, but it's utter nonsense. Yeah.
They discover the recorder in a second. Okay, so
I love the contempt. He goes, I didn't think they were that smart, but now he's like, not without a warrant. You can't record me in public without a warrant. Not only is arrogance, but I think a common bias by people who are well-to-do in the private sector, they just think that there's nobody who could be in government work that could possibly be really good at what they do, but smarter than them. And I don't know who you think that the prison is full of, but it's not all Riveras and Garcias. We got some Adelsons in there too.
There is a certain level of arrogance of like, I've been through a million years of college. There's no way this cop or this 911 operator knows more than me. He says that he ends the conversation with, I'll talk to you outside about it. Like, okay, so if there's nothing to worry about, then what are you going to talk to him outside about? What are you worried about a recorder for if you're not talking about anything incriminating? So we'll skip ahead to the trial, John. This is where he kind of meets his match. You can hear his arrogance kind of pouring out.
Did you have any input on the decision to change the boys' names from Markel to Adelson?
Absolutely not.
Do you and Donna have to protect Wendy?
No.
Does Wendy appreciate everything you and Donna do for her?
You got to ask her. I mean, she's my sister. I love her. I try to give her my best advice I can. If I care about her, and I give her my advice, whether she takes it or not, is up to her. She's a grown woman.
Let me ask it another way. Do you feel, or isn't it true that you don't feel that Wendy appreciates everything you and Donna do for her?
My sister had no idea what I've been through in the last, God knows how many years, and I wake up worrying, am I going to get killed? Am I going to get arrested? And she knows none of it. She's just going around her life, and I had somewhat of an innate anger towards her, probably unjust because she didn't know what happened. But yeah, I was upset.
And weren't you saying on the wire that she doesn't appreciate what you and Donna have done for her?
I don't know if I said that she doesn't appreciate what I've done for her because I never did anything for her.
Okay, so
Like,
that was
other
my
than
next
give her
question.
advice.
What have you done for her? Nothing?
Other than give her advice and care about her, be a big brother that loves her.
Would you say Wendy's a little bit spoiled?
In some regards, I mean, she gets a lot of help.
Why is he treating this moment like she's father confessor? Answers should be yes or no. If he'd been prepped by his attorney, he'd just be like, yes, no. It's not going to impress the jury, but like right now, they're reading the Nixon like forehead sweat that you have. And they're realizing that you are totally pissed at Wendy because you had her ex-husband killed, and she's not full of thankfulness for it.
I think what have you got to lose at this point? So I think he's always probably thought he'd be able to outcharm the jury.
This charm and this arrogance really makes me wonder, will Donna take the stand or will she learn the lesson?
I think hopefully she's learned the lesson.
I hope she takes the stand for the sake of this show.
I think, yeah, well, she needs to take the stand for the sake of the show, but I think that him saying, she didn't know what I was going through. I didn't know if I was going to be killed or arrested or whatever, because his whole defense is built on this fact that he was extorted by Katie and...
Yeah, Latin Kings just came out of nowhere, whacked somebody for free, and then implicated the Adelson family. All this just of their own accord.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, it's because of Wendy's ex-husband being killed that you're being extorted. So yeah, I think you would have a conversation with her like, dude, we had nothing to do with this, and now we're being extorted because of your piece of shit ex-husband that was killed, like that we had nothing to do with. But he never says that. He never talks about that. And he just he does talk about Dan Markel on the stand, and he says nice things or whatever, because again, he's trying to ingratiate himself with the jury, but he's not denying any of this. He's just saying, no, I was just being extorted. And somehow Wendy is just like an afterthought. You're being extorted because of Wendy's ex-husband being murdered. Like that would dominate the conversation if it were between my sister and I, to be honest.
For sure.
Is
Even he agrees.
she a little less savvy about how the world works than you are?
I don't know. I mean, you got to ask her.
Could you trust Wendy with a secret that could ruin your life?
It's not a secret. It's something that would get me killed. So I didn't want to tell her.
So it's a secret. I mean, it's just not a secret. It's something that would get me killed.
Well, he can't be characterized as a secret because criminal behavior is characterized as a secret. So
this is him on the fly answering questions, and she knows exactly what he's going to say. And this is him on the fly flubbing his line, basically. He's like, well, it wasn't a secret. I mean, I just didn't want to tell her. I just kept it from her because I was going to get killed because of her.
Can we agree that she obviously knew something about this crime?
She found out when she came to court. I never told her anything.
I'm talking about the murder.
That to me was like an incriminating statement in and of itself. He's like, I never.
Oh yeah, we never told her anything about killing Dan before we did it.
Look, my mom and dad and I told them nothing about us conspiring with Katie and Tuto and Tato and Tonto.
Dan Markel. She knew something, right? I mean, it's not a coincidence she went to the crime scene, is it?
You're talking about the route that she took that day?
I'm talking about her pulling up to the crime scene tape.
She never went to the crime scene. She was going to buy a bottle of liquor that coincidentally the person sent her a stock the bar party for buy a bottle bullet of bourbon that she was going to pick up. She wasn't driving to a crime scene. And I think she made that clear too. Nobody knew a murder was taking place.
She
Except you.
Right, that's what I mean. Like, nobody knew a murder was taking place because we made sure that nobody.
The fact that he has commentary on this is good. He should just be like, I guess you should interview Wendy. I wasn't there for any of that, but instead he's still kind of going to bat, doesn't want Wendy to go down. Probably because Wendy could be used to flip against him, if that was going to happen in short order. But he's still very defensive about someone. He should just be like, just ask Wendy. I don't know.
pulled up to the crime scene tape, Dr. Adelson.
She didn't pull up to the crime scene tape. She was driving down the street and then had to make a U-turn. It was blocked off. But she wasn't
She
going.
couldn't help herself.
But this is what I was trying to say earlier, John. This is like, this is the point. If you've got an answer for everything like this, he's trying to convince her and the jury that she's out of her mind for even suggesting that.
Nobody knew a murder was going to take place.
She exposed you all to some degree by those actions, didn't she?
No, not at all.
And then she threw you under the bus in her interview, didn't she?
Nobody knew a murder was going to take place.
That doesn't
Her
answer
husband
that
had
question.
just been shot, and they were asking her who would want him dead, and she said your name. Are you mad about that?
No, she said a lot of people's names.
Well, she said yours in the first 25 pages of a 5-hour interview. Isn't that true?
I wasn't there for the interview.
But you've reviewed it in preparation for your trial, haven't you?
I actually don't know if I've seen her interview.
Okay. Yeah, except you knew exactly about the bourbon and all that. Was it
There
the
was
same
a lot of
interview?
questions of you about, didn't you do this murder with Wendy? Doesn't the state think you did this murder with Wendy? Are you familiar with your charges in this case?
Yes, I'm very familiar with my
Right.
charges.
And who are you alleged to have done this murder with?
I'm alleged to have done this murder with my sister, my mom, and my dad.
This is so great. That is
I
like,
can't believe she got him to say that on the stand because this prosecutor, she is great. She is annoyed that she is having to deal with someone so stupid on the stand.
I'm going to roll the dice.
What was the decision to put him on the stand? God's sakes, it's terrible.
I am pretty sure that it was his decision.
Well, it has to be his decision because no lawyer would do that.
Yeah, like a Sarah Boone, like,
Right.
I can outsmart everybody. Just no, it's my decision. I'm going up there.
But that arrogance right there, that's what's sinking him.
Refresh your recollection to review a copy of.
By the way, this is going to get me in trouble like it did in the other case that we covered. That you know what I'm talking about, and I'm not going to mention anymore. He's giving honest answers in betwixt the deceptive answers. Because she's giving him ground balls every once in a while for him to say, like, yes or no to a question where he could be honest and not incriminate himself.
It's
So-
designed to throw him off so his defenses can
Sure.
because every time a question comes at him, it's like, are we building towards something? We have all seen on Law and Order, like
Objection. She's clearly ramping up to something.
he doesn't know what's coming next.
If I could offer advice to any young officer or anybody that's going to testify on the stand, don't sit there and try to calculate where they're going with it. Just answer the question. That's all you have to do. Just answer the question. They're going to make you look like a fool either way.
The indictment in this case.
I'm a slow reader, but I could read it if you want.
Reference to who you are alleged to have committed the murder with.
Objection? No?
This is, what day is this? 2022. They think I did a murder with Katie.
Catherine Matt Banaway.
Yes.
Anybody else?
Give me a minute, I'll read.
Unless I miss something.
Should just be at the very top of each charge.
She walks him right in.
On or about July 18th,
Sound it out.
2014, did unlawfully.
Okay. Yeah, Katie. Catherine.
So his initial answer to her question is like, who are you accused of committing this murder with? They think I committed a murder with my sister, my mother, and my father. And then she's like, here's the indictment. You want to read this again? And he's like, oh, yeah, that's right. Katie.
Whoops. I accidentally mentioned my family when I should have said Katie.
I threw them under the bus. In the first 25 pages of a 5-hour cross-examination, I just mentioned my mom and my dad.
I forgot which co-conspirators have already been revealed and which ones are still secret.
There is, by the way, and we're going to see him in a minute. Oh no, we probably already saw a photo of him, but there is a long lost brother in this whole thing. He went to the University of South Florida. Which is where I am. Like it's my alma mater. It's where I got my master's. He went to medical school at the University of South Florida. He's a doctor, I think, in upstate New York.
Are you mad that Wendy hasn't been charged and you have?
No, I'm mad that I got charged for a crime that I didn't commit.
Do you have any innate anger with Wendy over that fact?
No, not at all.
Are you pissed that she told all that stuff to Jeff Lacoste?
I don't think she said that to Jeff, but I wasn't there.
How did Lacoste know about the celebration dinner?
That we went out to dinner. She got sick, so she may have told someone that she threw up.
And then what? He just added the part about you referring to it as a celebration?
I never referred to it as a celebration dinner. I picked my sister up. I said, where do you want to go to eat? She said she wanted pizza or sushi. I said, I know a great sushi place. We went there. We didn't have reservations. We ended up sitting at the bar for an hour waiting for our table. She had 2 drinks and got sick.
She vomited on the dinner table. Or at the dinner table.
Yeah, we got her to the bathroom. But yeah, she doesn't drink alcohol. So those 2 drinks, and I think on an empty stomach, I think she got really sick. But there was no celebration dinner. It was the first time that she actually really left the house since she got back from Tallahassee. She was devastated.
Did you say something to her about the murder of Dan Markel right before she vomited?
Absolutely not.
Do you remember what you said right before she vomited?
She was I think she said, I don't feel well. And I say, oh no. And then she threw up.
Before that?
No, I think I said, oh no. And then she threw up.
Before she announced that she was going to be ill.
Right.
Do you remember what the conversation was?
Just how's the food? How's your
He's obviously lying, but my question, Drew, is attorneys never ask questions they don't know the answers to. And again, she's clearly ramping up to something. Do we know what he said? Do we know that he said, hey, Wendy, you're welcome. I rubbed out Dan for you.
Yeah, I don't know if that was actually recorded. I don't know if that was a recorded.
Do you think she's faking him out, saying like, she's just, I mean, you have to be a baller attorney to just like take a guess that the reason why she threw up at this celebration dinner was him confessing.
But that's kind of my point. That's exactly, we get back to this point of having an answer for everything is sometimes like you're projecting the most deception when you have an answer for everything. Because if you had just a legitimate dinner with your sister and she got a little tanked, like by drinking on an empty stomach and she puked at the table, and somebody asks you like, what was your conversation before that? It would be something. It would be one of 2 answers, in my opinion. It would be, fuck, I don't know. We talked about a lot of stuff. Or it would be like, no, we talked about the food and which is his answer. But I mean, like,
the safest bet would be to be, there's only one thing going on in all of our lives. Of course we were talking about that.
Right.
But it doesn't, like you could deflate a lot of the implications out of it if you just say, we were talking about her ex-husband got murdered. I mean, that's kind of a big deal, right?
Right. So even if it was like, look, she got sick, he's got an answer for it. He's like, look, it was an empty stomach. She doesn't really.
I'm just saying, as a juror, I would believe they were talking about Dan rather than nothing at all.
I would like, you could easily say, well, how are you coping with all this? How are the kids doing? How is it like, this is a pretty stressful time. Your ex-husband was murdered. Blah. Like that would be a natural reaction. Like,
Yeah.
why wouldn't you just say that? But he's like,
He's minimizing it to the point where it's ludicrous.
exactly.
About halfway through dinner. If you look at the timetable, we weren't there long.
Why did you brag to Jeffrey Lacoste about your connection to the Cuban criminal element?
Never said that to Jeff Lacoste.
So he's He's making that up?
If he said it, I never said it.
Well, you were in here when he said it, weren't you?
I heard him say it, yeah. Whoops. But I never said that to him.
When the $1 million offer was conceived, do you recall whose idea that was?
For those of you who don't know, they offered Dan Markel $1 million to allow for this, custody agreement.
They wanted to pay him off. That's how they solve all their problems is with money.
Exactly. And it was partially like, okay, you can commute. Like, you can move to South Florida and you can commute to your job as a professor up at FSU with $1 million. And he's like, no, I'm not.
They should have just said there's a pandemic coming in 9 years anyway where you're going to be able to work remotely. So it's not that big of a deal.
Right.
My parents.
Why was the relocation worth $1 million?
Well, it was actually I was gonna pay a third, so I only looked at it as that way. Why was it worth it?
That's the question.
Because it was gonna help my sister out, and it was gonna give her a good opportunity for a good job down here, and she was gonna be around family, and family's important, so that's why.
Isn't it true that financially you came out ahead on this deal as opposed to if you had coughed up the third of the $1 million offer?
How in the world did I come up ahead? This is the crazy.
Financially, you paid $138,000, and you paid $2,000 a month plus the $1,000 payroll amount. You're still about over $100,000 ahead financially than if you had coughed up the $333K.
No, I would have been better off paying. And first of all, I never paid for murders. This is a crazy question, but paying $3,000 a month for life is not anything anybody wants to do.
I didn't say anything about paying for a murder. I said you paid $138,000, which you did.
I got extorted for $330,000.
So here's the verdict. Let's see if he's a little more humble here.
He should have said, like, I'm not ahead because of these lawyer fees. It would have been nice for him to throw that in.
In the Circuit Court of the Second Judicial Circuits in and for Leon County, Florida, the state of Florida versus Charles Adelson, case number 2016 CF 3036B, verdict. Count 1. We, the jury, find as follows as to count 1 of the indictment, first-degree murder. The defendant is guilty of first-degree murder. Count 2. We, the jury, find as follows as to count 2 of the indictment, conspiracy to commit first-degree murder. The defendant is guilty of conspiracy to commit first-degree murder. Count 3. We, the jury, find as follows as to count 3 of the indictment, solicitation to commit first-degree murder. The defendant is guilty of solicitation to commit first-degree murder. So say we all on the 6th day of November, 2023.
Does the defense wish for the court to poll the jurors?
Yes, Your Honor.
So we roll right into the sentencing.
Mr. Adelson, I'm going to give you the opportunity to make a statement if you wish. You do not have to speak. However, this is your opportunity if you choose to do so.
I did.
You may stand.
Stamp. I would just like to say that I maintain my innocence.
Well, please rise. I'm now going to pronounce the sentence. With the jury having found you guilty of all 3 counts that you were charged with in your indictment of first-degree murder, conspiracy to commit first-degree murder, and solicitation to commit first-degree murder, I am going to adjudicate you guilty of all 3 at this time, and you are going to be sentenced as follows. As to count 1, the first-degree murder count pursuant to section 782.04 and 775.0824 statutes, you are sentenced to life imprisonment without the possibility of release or parole. As to count 2, you are going to be sentenced consecutively to 30 years in the Department of Corrections for conspiracy to commit first-degree murder. As to count 3, you are going to be sentenced to 30 years in the Department of Corrections consecutively for solicitation to commit first-degree murder. The credit for time served that applies in this matter is how much?
597.
597 days will be applied as credit for time served in
You ever think that in that moment where they do the credit for time served, that's just a little slap in the face? Yeah, you're going to be doing life plus 30 years, and then when you're done with that, 30 more years. But we're going to give you credit for 500 days.
No doubt. Like, so you owe 90 years after your death, but we're going to give you credit for the year and a half that you've already served.
Yeah.
God rest your soul, Dan Markel. That's why I let the sentencing play all the way through. Like, people are being held to account. You're not forgotten.
He deserved to live and be a father. When I was reviewing the jail phone calls, which is how our next episode is going to kick off, Charlie laments that he has recently found out he's going to become a father, or he's got a young son. And one of the biggest laments he has about going to prison for the rest of his life is that he doesn't get to be a father. When he found out this girl that he knocked up was pregnant, when he found out that she was pregnant, he said, "I want you to keep the child because I want to be a dad." And this just shows you the total arrogance, the total criminal thinking, and the total lack of empathy that he wants for himself, but can grant that same wish to no one else. He never stopped to think, does Dan Markel want to be a father? Dan Markel had 2 sons, his nephews. It was a tie that bound them both and love for those boys. But he had no respect for Dan Markel as the boy's father, and he had no respect for fatherhood at all if he was willing to set up Dan get cooked. So he wants the joys and responsibilities of fatherhood for himself, but not for Dan. And it's just one of the 10,000 things in those phone calls that is utterly disgusting. But that's who Charlie is. He's a disgusting human being, and he maintains his innocence, and he blames the jury, the Tallahassee jury, for not being able to see it his way or empathize with him. But he also says that the prosecutor made up lies and that the system didn't give him a fair shot. And in my mind, listening to all those phone calls in which he never denied, these phone calls in which he obviously thought were private between he and Donna, because they set up a whole plan for her to escape the country. They're actually operating as though these phone calls are private. At no point did they ever, play act that, like, I can't believe they thought I killed Danny. They just say, the system's not fair. I didn't get a fair shot. And he thinks that despite the fact that he knows that he did this, that he should have been given a 50-50 chance of getting away with it. To him, that's what a fair chance was. He never stops to think or consider that these consequences for what he did are just. And that's typical criminal. It's always everyone else's fault. There's always some reason why he shouldn't be held to account, Drew.
There are a few defendants that come to mind that maybe have been acquitted, but to this date have never used the word innocent, which means that they're not bold enough to say that they were innocent. They know they are not guilty, and that's where it ends. And he, if he were on the phone calls leading up to the trial or at any part, and he didn't know he was being recorded, he would have said a million times, pounding his fist on the table, screaming and yelling. He would have been in the lobby of the Leon County District Attorney's Office, State Attorney's Office, saying, "I am innocent, I am innocent, I am innocent, I am innocent." But he wasn't. He just took his chances, rolled the dice at trial, and he lost. He lost big. So Dan Markel is getting his,
he's getting his justice, but we're not done yet. And I thought it was very interesting, that remark that the prosecutor made. Has it made you angry that we haven't yet charged Wendy? Kind of implied that, that she was almost using those familial bonds as leverage against each other, because she's the one that stands to profit. So you take down all the people that did all the hard work. Wendy doesn't appreciate any of it. And she used that to put stress and pressure on every single member of the family. And we're making our way around. And something we've addressed on the show is why this is taking so long. Well, think about it. Like Brian Koberger, right? When he killed those kids, it took about 3 years for us to get to the point where we were ready to go to trial with him. So if you consider that it takes 3 to 4 years to successfully prosecute a murder, and we've already taken down Rivera, Garcia, Magbanwa, and Charlie Adelson, then we're right on schedule for taking care of Donna and who knows what's next. And as I said at the end of the prior episode, that if there's evidence against Wendy, you could bet your ass that we have not seen it yet, because they're going to preserve and keep that a secret as long as possible. So who knows what's going to happen to Wendy?
You know, you know how I am. I don't root for death, but is the state kind of holding their cards on Harvey, knowing they have gathered enough evidence, or maybe they haven't? Maybe
I think they realize that Harvey's wasted taxpayer money, because as soon
that's,
as
that's what I'm saying. Maybe they're
they
waiting.
him up, he's going to pass away. So
Yeah, like this is eventually going to get to him, and they can skip all of that. I mean, you know, as morbid as that sounds, or maybe not. Maybe he can spend the remainder, the final 2 years of his life in prison or whatever. But I mean,
maybe
like,
Wendy will take a plea to spare her father. You know, that's some serious pressure on Wendy.
that could definitely happen. Well, John, another episode.
All right, guys, make sure you check out all of our prior episodes, especially on the Donna Adelson case. If you liked our coverage, you should check out all these videos right here. Make sure you're checking us out on all the social media platforms. We appreciate you playing the Drew Breezy drinking game today. Catch us next time on our next episode. Drew, it's been a pleasure as always.